Hey there, welcome to this lecture. Let's cover the microservice architecture part. So what is microservice architecture? And why microservice? So why not monolithic, right? And what kind of problem it is getting solved by the microservice architecture? And what kind of benefits we can get it from microservice? And what are the things we need to consider like when we are thinking of the microservice architecture, and what kind of skills are needed? So all of the questions we will be solving right here, right? So first of all, let's try to understand like why microservice is coming to the picture, right? So in earlier days, like monolithic architecture, it was a kind of hot architecture, right? And still some of the great companies are still using the monolithic architecture. And monolithic, just like right before jumping into the microservice architecture, we need to understand monolithic first and what kind of problem we are getting right there and why. That's why actually microservice we are using as a kind of substitute architecture. That is the scenario we need to understand. So monolithic architecture, I know maybe a lot of people, some of you already know that, right? So monolithic architecture is a kind of traditional software development approach where entire application is a kind of single unit, right? So all of the components, as an example, the user interface, business logic, data access layer, or maybe some kind of the package, third party, everything like, it's tied up together. It's a kind of one single unit, right? So as an example, like, and if you can see in this diagram, you can see this whole application, monolithic architecture, user is coming to the picture as a kind of user interface or maybe web page. They're accessing to the API. They're talking to the business logic, and business logic is accessing the data access layer, right? Talking to the database, and it's giving back the data to business logic, again to the API, again to the web page. And you can see whole application is built one single unit. It is like, it's deployed together, right? And you can see while it comes to the e-commerce application, it can have user management, browse product management, create cart, validate stock, create payment, create order, update stock, post order, all the mechanism. You can see like, it is sitting right next to each other, right? And it is tightly coupled. Like when user needs some data, then they can directly access any of the module from there, like the create card or validate, like they can refer to the another module and they can access the data. So here the main problem is right now here, it's monolithic architecture is very simple. Like you can go for, while you have a very small application and you are straightforward, like it is giving very quick response in terms of like while you have a limited numbers of resources, or maybe 2 or 3 developers, and you want to build something like very quickly, and you have a very limited budget, or you are not caring about a lot of scalability and all right? So you have at least some of the constraints you have, right? And you don't want to take the deployment overhead as well, as because that's the thing exactly the monolithic architecture is doing, right? You can build one application overnight and you can deploy in the next day, right? That's the thing you can do in monolithic architecture. But the problem is getting occur, like while our monolithic application, let's say our browse product is receiving a lot of traffic, right? Then there are no way we can scale the browse product component, right? Because if you're gonna scale the whole component, then you need to scale whole application. Though our user is not required, our create payment or order or post order, other rest of the components are not required any scaling, but still you need, because whole application is one single unit. That's the problem exactly, because whole application, if you're going to deploy in another server, because there are no any questions like, you cannot maybe some sort of you can scale it, like you can accommodate scaling in horizontally, but you can see some of the unnecessary you need to scale it accordingly, right? So that's the problem exactly. It's happening with the monolithic architecture. And eventually, if you need to incrementally, let's say you need to build something or maybe develop something, right? As an example, the payment section, we need to introduce a lot of payment gateway. Let's say one by one, all of the payment gateways you need to integrate, right? And every time integration, you need to go to a whole application deployment, right? It's going to consume a lot of time, and you don't know like which part of the component is going to break just because of you are introducing a new module, right? Or maybe some of the code you have introduced, like it can introduce a new bug, right? So that means like, you are only touching the payment, but it's breaking down somewhere else, because all of the components, it's like tied up together, right? It is talking to each other internally by using references or maybe direct access, right? Something like that. So this kind of problem often happening like while it comes to the monolithic architecture. All right, so now we know what kind of problem we have in the monolithic architecture, right? So it is very simple, and we can build something very faster, and it's not required a kind of huge mechanism or something, right? But when it comes to the scaling and when it comes to like incremental development, then really it's a kind of nightmare for monolithic application. So monolithic application only for simple system, right? Not for a kind of bigger team or maybe enterprise level stuff. As much as the complexity will grow, then monolithic application will be harder to maintain. That's the problem. So that's why the microservice is coming to the picture, right? So the first problem it is getting solved, like when it comes to build everything together, right? This is the same way microservice is splitting all of the components into smaller autonomous executable unit. As an example, it can have a catalog, right? Just like our product, right? All of the product stuff, it is coming to the catalog microservice. And similar way, the stock, update stock and validate stock, all of this stuff, it's coming to the inventory, where catalog directly cannot access, but they can just borrow some data from there, right? So we're going to discuss the communication in a bit, right? And similar way, it is going to split the user and the feedback, payment, and order, all of these things. Can you see, like each and every module, it is split into the monolithic architecture. So right now the problem is solved. Like if our product is getting a lot of traffic, then what we need to do? Browse product is it's a catalog microservice. So catalog microservice, we need to just clone one app instance right there, right? So we have a two catalog microservice instance, then it can handle the traffic right there. So now we can see our payment microservice. If we are having the incremental development, all right, or incrementally we need to deploy this particular microservice, as an example, this one right here. And even if it is have some kind of the problem or errors also, still rest of other microservices are still functional, right? It's not going to break the flow at all, right? So still user can browse the product, user can add to cart, or maybe user can view the orders. Definitely user cannot place the order, but still the payment microservice is breaking down, but rest of other stops are working, right? So that is the beauty exactly it's solving by the microservice. Some of the special considerations also we need to think about it when to go to the microservice architecture. So when our application is growing complex, or maybe it's going big, right? As an example, the enterprise level application, then we can significantly, we need to add or maybe introduce a lot of topic, right? As an example, the product can have maybe search mechanism, right? Maybe in the payment can have a multiple payments, all right? Maybe in the multiple country can have a different currencies, all right? And in that case, what we need to do? We need to integrate a lot of payment gateway, right? And as an example, the order system. While it comes to the order system, maybe we can integrate a lot of third parties, just like to handling the whole fulfillment, right? In that case, we no need to touch the rest of other microservices, all right? So just simply we can integrate all of the third parties in the order microservice, right? So that kind of things maybe we cannot do in the monolithic architecture. Even if you are going to integrate all of the third party also, if the application is breaking down, then our whole application will not gonna work, right? That certain part is not working, then whole application is getting impact, right? So this kind of problem exactly it's getting solved by the microservice. And another thing you can see right now, we have a multiple microservice, and you have a diverse team in terms of like maybe you have a 10 or 15 people, or maybe forget about 10, let's say 8 people in your team, right? So if you're going to divide into 2 people in one single team, right? One front end, one back end, still you can divide all of the microservice accordingly. And some of the people may know Java, some of the people know Python, all right? Some of the people may know Go and Node.js. So you can divide all of the microservices in separate way, because there are no any cross connections is going to happen. Like, they cannot directly access the microservice source code, right? But they have a kind of completely isolated context that's called bounded context. So each microservice is performing or they're responsible for handle their own responsibility. Catalog only going to perform the product operations or listing operations, right? Inventory only handle the stock or updating stock, etc. User only better, right? And the feedback and payment and rest of other microservices accordingly. So that means if you have a diverse technology stack, then definitely microservice is a really good opportunity, right? Which is cannot be done in the monolithic architecture, because you can see, like, if you're gonna write this user management or user module in Node.js, you cannot write the product module in Go, because that's not possible at all right? And eventually, if it is possible, I don't know. So that's really kind of nightmare, right? So we don't want to introduce this kind of complexity with the help of the monolithic architecture. That problem exactly is getting solved because you have diverse technology, diverse talents, then you can utilize all of them accordingly. And when it comes to microservice, then there are certain skills are needed, right? So as you can see, like we have a lot of skills, right? But still, like you can see, maybe we can build microservice in different ways, like Node.js, Go, or Java, etc. But while it comes to deploy or ship the microservice, then you need to have a kind of strong understanding of the DevOps, right? And how container system is working, how communication stuff is gonna work, right? So all of these things are really going to be necessary, right? And another part is microservice is complex. Why I'm saying microservice is complex? Because if you go with the monolithic architecture, then what is gonna be needed? Because you need only one EC2 instance, right? It may be medium or maybe small or whatever, and there are no any kind of the complex settings you required right there, because whole application is only one single container, right? And you can just deploy it, right? That's gonna work. But in a microservice architecture, you need to think about a lot of stuff. As an example, the classic example, just like communication. So how our catalog service is communicate with the inventory. So when our user is going to come to the picture, like they are going to browse to the product, then definitely they need to add to the cart, and as soon as they are placing the order, then what is going to happen? They need to inform the inventory, or maybe catalog needs some data from the inventory itself, like let's say category details, product details, or variant details. So then catalog microservice, what it's gonna do? Like it's going to call one kind of synchronous call. If their instant data is gonna be needed, then we will be going to call synchronous call, because we need the data, right? Then those data we will just like reply back to client, right? So here is a client, like this is the client, and let's try to, right? And now that's the client is waiting. Client is like getting they just clicked on the product details, and catalog microservice is calling inventory service to get the complete product details, because catalog microservice has a bounded context and inventory microservice also having a bounded context. And in this case, catalog microservice can have a different meaning of the product. Product can be product name, image, or price, or something like that. But inventory can have a different meaning. Inventory can have a product SKU, or maybe seller details also, right? And maybe product variant details, and a lot of stuff is gonna happen, right? So that is the way, like while it comes to communication, then we can do the synchronous communication for getting instant data, or maybe if certain things need to be updated, or maybe let's say catalog need to update some data to the inventory, but as an example, the update stock, then they can just pair one kind of events, or maybe they can communicate with the help of message broker, all right? Or maybe HTTP fire and forget call. Then inventory service can take care of all of this stuff. So that means each microservice have their own scope, right? And by the help of the own scope, they are not interfering the other microservice functionality, because catalog cannot directly say gonna inventory, hey, please do the like maybe update the data, right? Or maybe I just want to update your data. They cannot do that, because catalog microservices do not have the permission. That's the problem exactly. That's the problem it is getting solved by using some kind of bounded context and the communication pattern, right? So now you can see like microservice is really beautiful, but it has a lot of pros and cons as well. So what is the summary? We can take it like from here. In the monolithic application, it's faster to develop initially, but it's harder to scale when it comes to growing the application, all right? And it is very hard to scale when it like having a lot of traffic, right? And it's very easy for, or it's going to be convenient for a small type of application or for a small team. But for a microservice, if you're looking for the like enterprise level application, or maybe internationally you need to cover your business, at that case you should supposed to go with the microservice architecture, right? That's the thing. And microservice is really hard, right? And definitely there are some expertise and some of the skills are needed to accomplish the microservice architecture. Then definitely with the help of this course, you'll be gaining all of this expertise, that's for sure, right? Cool. Then we got the clue like on what to do with this microservice architecture, and what is microservice architecture, how they can perform all of this stuff. And you can see in this diagram we have just like added this gateway also. Definitely these are not exact precise services. While we are going to put our hands on the system design, then we will be figuring out like what kind of services we're going to build. But you can see the gateway is sitting on the top of all of the microservices. So while it comes to expose the microservice, we should not supposed to directly expose our microservice, because it has some kind of like authentication and authorization stuff we need to add. due to just to keep maintain of the security, because all of the microservices, it can be deployed in different spaces, all right, or maybe different machines. So gateway is having the responsibility to communicate all of these microservices together, and it is going to help us to discover like whether microservice is alive or already it's properly functional. So all of the advanced stuff we are going to discuss in upcoming lectures, right? Cool. Then that's all for this lecture. In the next lecture, we are going to cover like this one. In the next lecture, we are going to cover our system design and needs, where we will discuss a lot of fun stuff right there, and why system design is required and what kind of problem it is exactly it's getting solved by the system design. Cool. Then I would like to see you in the next lecture. Thank you.